Alright, we're back with me working away at on panel 2, and as you can see I'm pretty happy with the sketch that I have. So now I'm putting an ink layer down and getting ready to put some brush strokes down. You'll see a lot of me drawing it one way and then not happy with my line work, so I'll redraw it another time. That's the big advantage of working digitally, is that I can work until I get the line just exactly the way that I want. It's one of the tough parts for me about working on this digitally, is that I'm a big fan of brush inks. I'm a pretty good brush inker, and it's tough for me to give up all of my really nice clean line weights because I'm actually drawing it in inks, which doesn't allow me the same amount of flexibility to make it ever so smooth and subtle as I would if I were inking it on a board. But it's close enough, and at the end of the day it's being reproduced at 72 dpi on the web, so either I have to decide that I'd rather have it done rather than have it perfect, and that's basically been my rule of thumb when it comes to drawing Wumpyre, is that I just need to make sure that I get this done every week. And as somebody who can be a bit of a perfectionist about these sort of things, that's maybe the toughest part about drawing this strip, is that I'm particularly I guess I have to let go of that sort of thing and make myself just be pleased that I've gotten the strip done every week. And when I look back at the fact that I worked in comics from I started in 87 and worked until 1995, and I mainly did inks, lots of lettering, and a little bit of drawing and writing along the way. But a big part of the reason I didn't get to do as much as I would have liked to is that I was always so particular about the work that I did, and it made me slower than I could be to be a professional cartoonist. So this is one of the exercises that Wumpyre is for me, is that at this point in my life, after a hiatus of more than 15 years away from comics, one of the big things for me was to prove to myself that I could actually do this on a weekly basis, sit down and draw this out. Getting to work with my wife on it has been just a complete and total pleasure. It's been really great to have a collaborator who is working on it. I've been primarily an artist who works in black and white, so it's nice to have Katie using her skills with Photoshop and putting down some beautiful colors that is adding a very nice component to this work. It allows me to let this go a little bit better, knowing that in many of the cases that I've finished the strip and not been pleased with it, that Katie has come back with beautiful colors and details that have made the strip look good, despite the fact that I had hacked my way through it with the artwork. So in this case, what we're looking at is Wumpyre sitting out in the field outside of the farmhouse, and you can see that there are some leaves on the ground, and there is the first of a little bit of snow that's starting to fall down. We really wanted to have that element that you're used to if you are used to Niagara or any place in the northern US or in Canada, the way that winter will kind of tease itself at the beginning of the season, and you'll end up with a November or early December snowfall that might come down and cover things, but it doesn't stay around. And that's kind of what we wanted to capture here, was from the perspective of our Wumpyre, who has come here from Arizona. He's never seen snow, he's never seen winter, and we wanted to put a little bit of the reality and fear that goes with this. So you can see, again, as I'm working on this in the ink stage, I had a lot more of the details and little fiddly bits in on it. Whenever I'm working on things that are organic, it's always really refreshing to me, because I feel very comfortable to just make this stuff up as I go along, as opposed to if it were a house or a car or something like that that is more rigid and the details are more specific. So you can see that I'm just kind of whipping along on this with it pulled back pretty far from 100%. It's probably about 25% or 30% of the actual size, and I'm inking some of these organic details because I'm not too worried about it, knowing that Katie will come down and lay some really nice color work on top of my little hand scratching and make it look like it's something finished by the time we're done. But you can see that there's not a whole lot of magic necessary to draw this stuff in. It's just sort of me following my own gut based off of years of drawing and drawing the kind of lines that I like to draw. I think that that's a lot of it too. Is I really like little hatch lines and high contrast black and whites, and anytime I get to draw those things in to add some depth or complexity onto something, or give it the illusion of depth or complexity, that's what I will do whenever I can. So I'm using, in this case, the scratchboard tool in Corel Painter. It's a tool that gives me a bit of a crow quill sort of feel. It allows me to have a thin and thick sense of line work that I add on to any of the lines that I put down. So it does give me the ability to add some line weight, and that allows me to keep it from just looking like I went in with a repeatograph or a single depth pen, and as a result you end up with a line that has a little bit of personality to it, and gives a nice organic feel to it, which it's not quite the same as going in with a number 3 brush like I would have inked traditionally on a board with, but it does do a pretty fair imitation of it. But again, as you can see, I'm not really sweating the details too much. I'm just drawing things that make it look close enough to the objects I want them to be. In this case, as I look back on it, I should have thrown some branches on those trees earlier on, and never did that because I knew I was going to drop snow down on top of it, and I had kind of an effect in mind. But I would have had a little nicer of effect with the snow on the branches, as well as a couple more leaves if I hadn't done that. But that's the way most of these strips turn out, as I get done them and think about the things that I should have done or shouldn't have done. But you can see there that I've got an ink on this particular panel, and I'm relatively pleased with it at this point. So now I'm going in and cleaning up the art and fading it down on the first panel so that I can get some of the details out. And in this case, I'm going with a brush for the next inks.